there's been an uptake in this country of hating people. I grew up in might say, a well integrated neighborhood. Integrated is a term that, well, let me see, the Jewish family's over there, the Catholic family's over there, the Baptist family's over there, and do we have any Buddhists around? And of course, there's us. But yeah, one was religion, one was, Italians, Germans, Greeks, British, Irish, the wild mixture. And we all at the local grade school, it was a wild mixture. Were there any African Americans there? No, there wasn't. There wasn't any African Americans living in the neighborhood. But there were African Americans living in the town. The school that I went to, there wasn't. But there was a mixture of, all the ethnic groups from, or nationalistic groups from Europe. And while my parents never said, don't play with those people, those children, some of the other parents did. Don't play with the Italians. Don't play with the Germans. And they were isolated. Why? This housing division was right after World War II. A lot of, quote, husbands came back from war, married, and moved in these subdivisions. They didn't like Germans. You didn't see a German family here. You saw a German family they're from way over there in the school, but the German kids, I just couldn't understand, nor why I would understand not to play with them, not to talk with them, not to eat with them, not to do this, not to do that with them. And they were pretty well isolated for the longest time because they're German. And yet they fought against the German. They're German Americans, but they're German. And it's pretty hard. Now it's Asians. Now who doesn't like Asians? Well, okay, let's see. Chinese. There's the Chinese from Taiwan, and there's the Chinese from China, mainland China. Big difference. There's a Chinese from Hong Kong. Okay? And there's a Chinese from mainland China. And when Chinese come over here, like the local consulate general, he can be welcomed, and he can also not be waited on. Well, is there this thing against Chinese? Well, it's, there's this little thing of hatred. It's like Japanese Americans versus Japanese. Big difference. Is there hate between groups? There's dislike between groups. I wasn't told to dislike anybody when I was growing up, but I did get the feeling that people disliked me because I was from the other side of the track, yes, or other side of the road. We were part of them. Did you play in school? No, I didn't play in school. I was one of them over there. And it took me the longest time to figure out why I wasn't liked. It wasn't I wasn't liked, I wasn't hated or anything else. I was one of them from over there. I rode on a bus to school. Okay? That's the big difference. You rode on a bus to that school where most of the people came from around, walked to school. So you were one of them. And but what can I say? And you call it, hate in America. Oh yeah, against the Asians. Well, it's not the Asians. Which part of the Asians? Koreans don't like Chinese because China occupied the country for a long time. Koreans don't like Japanese because the Japanese occupied the country for a long time. Chinese don't like Japanese because they were occupied by the that thing. Even American Japanese have a hard time walking into a Chinese restaurant because it clicks back there. But then, of course, you've got the Communist Chinese and that thing. Students from China who studied, say, in Chicago, when they go to Chinatown, it's mainly the ones for Taiwan are in Chinatown. Now there are Communist Chinese there from China who are that, but basically everybody speaks Chinese. Well, Mandarin, or Cantonese. It's hard. It's hard. Other neighborhoods have no problem with Chinese, coming in there, students. Or other neighborhoods, depending on where you are. It's like going into an Italian restaurant or a American Italian restaurant or American German restaurant. Yes. Got to remember that thing. And this country has people from Germany having restaurants and everything else. There's very discrimination. Welcome to America. America has 300 different nationalities. Or I guess it's said they have 300 different people from, they have people from 300 different countries. These are maybe just little itty bitty islands in the middle of the Pacific or major things. Russians are not exactly the most likable person in a Polish neighborhood or Polish restaurant or a German restaurant. Now it's anybody. I can go into a couple of the Russian restaurants and I have no problem, but I will not bring a Polish girlfriend into that place because she's been tuned to the thing is to hate Germans. The same thing with French. They've been tuned to the place to hate Germans. It's something like having Irish. Irish do not like anyone from Britain. Scottish has a hard time too. But if you take an Irishman who grew up as an Irish, they have a direct hatred of British. Well, I have no problem with the British consulate. But yes, and it's basically the same thing of American Indian. Yes. Well, let's see. Oh yeah, my great-grandfather was scalped by you guys. Oh, is that why? Because you stole our land? Yeah. Go to American West, say American Indian reservations. The people that go to the American Indian reservations are not locals. Oh no. They're the Easterners, the city slickers, you might say. Yes. The Dudes Ranch. Locals basically have a distinct hatred of the American Indian because very likely they remind them that their ancestors stole the land. And American Indians have direct hatred of the white man for that simple reason. They either were displaced, the Cherokee were displaced, or they were slaughtered by the wagon trains that came in, or the army came in. Here's I just like this old joke. A friend of mine who's American Indian, is that his ancestors fought in Spanish-American War, Cuba. Okay, the ancestors fought in World War I, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. You guys, have you ever asked why you were paid to kill white men? You got it! You better know it! We could have scalped them, but boy, did we ring up the thing. Oh, you better know it. Oh, boy, were there the stories about night raiding the German lines, terrorizing them? The Germans were pretty bad, but boy, American Indians, and then Japanese over in Europe fighting. Oh, or the African Americans over there as pilots fighting. Big difference. Like being in Germany. Yes, we got bases in Germany. People remember, we basically flattened the country. Oh, there's that little deep hatred of, oh, we hate the British, we hate the French, but we don't like the Americans. And yet, of course, America's the place you want to come to live, so you can mingle with all the people you can't mingle. You know, Germans don't mingle with French. French don't mingle with Germans. French don't really like English. They don't like the language. American, come here, spend money, buy our goods, go home. Go home. So, and in this country, you have people who plan to be. I always enjoy the one about the South. Okay, originally, the white man, blonde hair and blue-eyed, were the plantation owners, and then they mingled. I like that one, mingled. I have relatives who live in the South, so they mingled. And the bloodline was changed. Yes. I can talk about roots and something like that. But yes, you know. Oh yes, there's all this white supremacists. What white supremacists? Huh? You know, it's like, oh, you're all white supremacists. You guys got the best start. Yes, you had a good chance. I went to school that was all white? Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. I went to high school that way. I went to grade school that way. Right, not to college. Oh, and where I worked, you know, was multiracial in that. And they were told, as being Teamsters, you will not kill each other here. That's right after World War. People came back. You know, they found Germans in the warehouse and Chinese in the warehouse and what have you. And they were basically sorry. You're all union Teamsters. You do not kill each other. You get along. Period. What you do outside this, you want to kill each other, go ahead. But inside this place, you're all Teamsters, and you're in the union. Yeah. And Teamsters protected Teamsters. But you talk about hate, yeah. Oh, yes, the Asians are being attacked. Who's attacking them? Yeah. Or, as the old saying go, he's a white supremacist. Oh, yeah? Ever walk into a Chinese... Ever walk into a Jewish neighborhood and try that? Why don't you wear your little Nazi uniform and go to Skokie, Illinois, and see what happens? The last time the Nazis marched in Skokie, Illinois, the police didn't show up. Think about that. And the mothers, with their brooms, drove the Nazis out. I guess that's hatred of Nazis. Oh, well, welcome to America. That's what you have. We have 350 million stirring in the pot. Oh, well,